Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are going to do our weekly metagame breakdown for the Standard Best of 1 format, looking at the top best decks in Standard Best of 1 up to Mythic Rank on the Arena ladder. We get the data from Untapped GG, what you see on the screen, companion tool that tracks your win rate with other users. Gives a whole bunch of cool stats. The link for Untapped is in the video description if you want to get started with them. The folks at Untapped did give me 10 coupons or vouchers for 1 month free premium subscription. So I'm going to be giving those away to folks. To enter, just drop a comment on the video with your favorite deck, whether it be standard or any other format, and I will randomly select 10 folks and reach out. We've done this a few times now, and I will give away the 10 copies of Untapped Premium for folks to use. We're going to start with looking at the kind of popularity of the day, the metagame breakdowns, in terms of which decks are seeing the most volume of play, and then we'll look at the corresponding win rates. We're going to focus predominantly on Diamond and Mythic, with a couple decks from Platinum to Mythic, and then a couple user decks that are kind of off meta in a bit, that have done fairly well recently and got into Mythic fairly early. So we'll go from there. All the deck lists will be pasted and time-stamped, so you can copy and paste to your heart's content. Before we jump into it, one last thing to mention. In the top left-hand corner, you'll notice a tally for a charity goal. You might ask, what is this charity goal all about? Well, for the month of December, every penny I earn from YouTube will be donated to a local Toronto-based food bank, helping those in need over the holiday season. So trying to help out people who are kind of underprivileged or just kind of running tight on bills, need some food, going to help them out. So if you want to help out, just watch some videos, like them, comment on them. The more we watch, the more YouTube generates revenue for me, and then the more I could donate. We have a stretch goal of 800, which is more than I usually make in a month. So we're going to try to hit it. We're at 242 after about a week. So hoping to kind of keep pushing out with that. But let's jump into it. So in terms of the last week, the popularity of the deck, Mono Red is the highest played deck at 13%. Boros Auras, similar kind of concept with the mouse package at 11.6%. Mono Black mid-range at 11.3, so we have kind of 3 decks towards the top, and then quite a steep drop-off in terms of play rate. The Red Aggro deck is similar to the Auras deck, but with the Fling included. You have Discard in there, Mono White Control, which is kind of the tokens deck, the Bat decks, and then just kind of Mono Red with Fling. So we kind of have like some strategies in here. Mono Black Skeletons doesn't really see much play, but kind of kill really quick or kind of control the board elements of the game. So we're going to start, like I said, from Diamond to Mythic Rank, there's 44,000 games played. If we look Platinum to Mythic Rank, it's 380. So quite a big jump in terms of volume of games, but it's been about a week. A lot of folks have probably moved their way into to Diamond, so we're going to take a look there. The highest win rate deck is Mono Red Aggro, 64%. It's a fairly stock list. What we do see here is both Shock and Burst Lightning in this list, and then the Lightning Strikes. So a little bit heavier in terms of the burn package here. We have the Swift Spears, Heartfires, Monstrous Rage, Screaming Nemesis kind of capping it off. No Slick Shot show-offs, but you have your Witch Stalker Frenzies in the top end. Just very aggressively slanted deck. Nothing like crazy innovative here. Control the board as needed, and then just burn them out or just inflict huge amounts of double strike damage on your opponent. We then go to Boros Auras, 64%. So this deck here has a similar concept with the mouse package, Manifold Mouse, Emberheart, and Heartfire Hero. However, you are kind of building a Voltron creature, very strong creature, ethereal armor. Gets bigger for every enchantment. The Optimistic Scavengers can distribute counters. Protect your stuff with Shard Mage Rescue. Sheltered by Ghost can be removal, and in these aggressive mirrors provide you a source of lifelink. Flight of Feather just gives you evasion as well. That's kind of paired with Manifold Mouse, which could give Trample or the Demonic Ruckus. Biggest downside with Boros is the mana base. You got to play Thran Portal, which... Is there a worse land that sees play in Standard right now, or like competitively, than Thran Portal? Like this card is like they made it so bad. So many caps in terms of like what makes it playable. I hate this card so much that it has to be played in some of these deck lists because we don't have the verges. Moving on, we go to Rakdos Sacrifice, a surprise new contestant. 61%, pretty large sample, 220 games. So this deck here is looking to sack for value, and the engine of the deck is Disturbing Mirth. This card is so much value. 2 mana, enters, you sacrifice an enchantment or a creature. If you do, you draw 2 cards. And then you could chain them together because you could sack subsequent copies of the Mirth. And when you sack the Mirth, it lets you manifest Dread. So it's like 2 cards plus a creature that you get for just 2 mana over the course of the game. This deck has Braids that you can use to sacrifice fodder, or Brass Forge can be fodder. You have Perforating Artist, 3 mana, 3/2 Death Touch. Beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, each opponent loses 3 life unless they sack a non-land permanent of their choice or discard a card. It's kind of a Punisher style effect. It's going to do something to your opponents, usually the worst case, like the best case scenario for your opponent, what they're going to do if they're going to discard, sack a permanent, or lose life, but plays really nicely with the Forge. Another raid card that you're going to be attacking anyways is Sear Slice Goblin, which at the end step will give you more fodder for your deck. Your early curve, you have some cheap removal, Burst Lightning, and Torch Tower. The Final Vengeance can be played nicely as more removal that exiles. You make a token with Spiteful Hexmage that you can sack. Hopeless Nightmare discards and then is sack fodder. And then Percussionist is creature advantage, like a creature that can then be sacked as well, and then provide some card advantage with the deck. You'll likely want to improve the mana base a little. Sulfur Springs as a full set, just to kind of make it a little bit cleaner. Just play as many duels as you can with the deck. We then go to Mono Wife Lifegain. Mono White Lifegain. Let's try that for a 3rd time. So they're at 59%, 160 games. So Leyline of Hope, not quite red Leyline good, but basically Righteous Valkyrie at home. If you gain a life, you gain that much +1, and then if you have 7 or more, then your starting life creatures get +2/2. Linden was reprinted in Foundation, so if you have old copies, you're already good. So this is just a 3 mana 3/3 Vigilance, and then whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life each instance of it. You have your Hinterland Sanctifier that gains life when creatures come in. So you have your Pridemate package, Johnny's Pridemate, and Essence Chandler that get bigger. Healer's Hawk, I can't talk today. Ruin Lurker Bat also gains you some life. Just a bunch of life gainers, Sheltered by Ghosts as kind of removal, and then Knight Errant of Eo. So trying to outgain them in terms of life gain, and then just make big creatures to beat in, kind of with this shell. Real, like, honest to goodness, kind of feels like your first deck. I'm going to just outgain them in life kind of strategy. We then go to, they're calling it a 4-color Reanimator. It's mono black Reanimator. So you want to put cards into your graveyard. You have Valgavoth's Faithful that can reanimate, as well as Zombify. So you have Valgavoth itself, Atraxa in here. Liliana can discard cards. Bitter Triumph can discard cards. Does this allow you to target any number of target players, each discard a card? So Tiny Bones could technically target yourself as well. So if you want to target yourself with that, you can discard it. You still have the Unstoppable Slasher, Bloodletter combo. You have Beseech, which can be used as to sack things like Nowheres to Run, or your Tiny Bones to help you find your reanimation spells. You have the full set of Unholy Annex, so kind of have the fair game, and then the over-the-top plan as well with your big 7 and 9 drops. 22 lands is a little bit pushing it. I would probably want to see 24, to be honest. While you're not casting these, you still want to hit your curve up to 4. That's something I would be kind of mindful of with the deck itself. Probably 1 to 2 lands short. Then we have kind of the more traditional mono black mid-range deck. So you still have the combo, Unstoppable Slasher and Bloodletter. You have the Unholy Annex as a card advantage engine, a couple copies of Archfiend in here, cut downs in here, bunch, cheap removal, Deep Cavern Bat for hand hate. So just kind of grinding them out. Soulstone Sanctuary can be a demon, so it works with these effects as well. So this deck's pretty decent into like all the creature piles because you just overwhelm with removal. I was actually playing this deck against CGB in his mono white Lifegain video, or mono white tokens video, and that matchup feels terrible from this side. You get a bunch of cut downs and they're just making like 20 tokens. That feels pretty bad there, and they just have so much removal that hits your stuff. Selesnya Rabbits. So my warning with Rabbits always, it could be a fun deck. You can enjoy the deck. It is a lot of rare and mythic wildcards that will not see play in decks other than this deck. So take that with a warning. If you do want to play this deck, it is a mana card sink that won't get you much utility. Things like Warren War Leader don't see play outside of it, Valley Quest Caller, Phineas. But you're playing kind of a tribal deck with rabbits and also incidentally warriors, but Valley Mistcaller could get really big. You have a bunch of just like scalable 1-drops. Phineas could put counters on things, potentially draw you cards. Burrow Guard Mentor gets bigger the more creatures you have. Evangelist can be an anthem. Hop to it makes you a bunch of tokens. Knight Errant draws you cards kind of mixed in. Then go to, so this one's from Plat to Mythic. This is the mono white tokens deck. So kind of control-y mono white deck. Your Caretaker's Talent, Enduring Innocence, Draw Engine deck. You have ways to make tokens with like Sunfall, Overlord, Elspeth, Carrot Cake, all draw you cards. This one here has got 3 Rest in Peace. Might be kind of an overcompensation for the Simic Terror decks. I wouldn't be playing this many Rest in Peace. Just play more like Soul Partitions and stuff, or just the Enduring Innocence, I would say. Seems like overcorrectness for a deck that's probably not going to be huge volumes, because this is just dead against a lot of other decks. It technically against Heartfire Hero, because the death trigger would get void, it wouldn't die, but it's a very niche case, just kill it. So that's one thing you might want to get rid of, is the Rest in Peace in the shell here. Bunch of sweepers, you make a bunch of tokens, gain a bunch of life, and just outgrind them over time with like fountain ports. Then we have Azorius Enchantments, Platinum to Mythic Rank. So this one is kind of another draw engine deck. You have Entity Tracker, which draws you cards when enchantments enter play. Enduring Innocence draws you cards. You have Gremlin Tamer, that's kind of a young Pyromancer, but for enchantments. Inquisitive Glimmer makes your enchantments cost less. You have Proft, when you're drawing cards, makes things bigger. Silent Hall Creeper can be unblockable. You're Sheltered, you're Optimistic, all mixed in there. Removal with Trapped in the Screen, and then your Overlords on the top end, as well as Enduring Curiosity draw cards. So this one here, like, it's not as fast to kill compared to Mono Red, but it's more resilient in terms of drawing you a bunch of cards over time. Then we go to a cool one here. So this is from Martin's first name player. So they got in early with the arena names. They went 90 and 64 with blue-white Flyers. So one thing, they did really poorly against 2 of the heavier played decks, but beat up on a lot of the other decks. But Errant Ingiata let you play Flyers or flashcards on the top of your library. Empyrean Eagle's a Lord. Aven Interrupter's kind of a counter spell. You have protection with Plum Creed Escort. Your Flyers, Fairy Mastermind, Malcolm, Spectral Sailor, Combat Research draws you cards, as well as Sheltered. So this is kind of like Spirits in a way, similar in the Pioneer Explorer formats. If you control a bird, it's like scalable, counterspell up to 4. What do you got? How is this not a bird? So you have 1 bird, 2 birds. Okay, so it's bird tribal, kind of mixed in. So kind of an interesting shell here. Obviously, it's not doing the best against that. You can kind of hedge your mono red matchup with things like Elspeth Smite or Unsummon. Just give you a little bit more interaction, maybe trim on the Malcolms and stuff, and then just play a little bit lower in terms of bounce interaction. And then lastly, this one is from Iris, 38 and 18. So this is Sultai Toxic. Did you know that Finn was reprinted in Foundations? Makes your Death Touch creatures have Toxic. So you have Villainous Skull Dweller, which has Toxic already, but gives it another instance of damage, so they would get poison as well. Makes the Finn also have it. You have Rot Priest, and then Mockingbird can copy your creatures, give them evasion, and then just a bunch of protection effects. Aspirant's Ascent can give creature a bonus evasion in terms of flying and an additional instance of Toxic. Dive Down and Shore Up, just lots of ways to protect. So you're playing this almost more as a combo deck than straight aggro. You really want to protect your threat as you have it out. Tyvar Stand, another protection effect. Unsummon can be used to target your own stuff, to reset them, or to target your opponent's things. So kind of a cool take on the Toxic deck. Gotta give this one a go. It's also very big. Like, obviously the lands are expensive, but the main board, like the only rare is Mockingbird and Venerated Rot Priest. Mana bases are always good to invest in. So that's it for the week. Let me know what you've been playing, what you've been liking. Like I said, if you want to enter for a chance to win free copy of Untapped Premium for a month, drop a comment with your favorite deck of the format. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one and stay safe out there.